All right. Welcome and thanks for joining the Aller Teacher, Educators, and Professional Learning Division's Fireside Chat. I'm Aimee Morewood, and I'll be hosting this TEPL conversation. Today we have Bethanie Pletcher and Marilyn Nicol here to talk to us about their Literacy Today article, which is Reclaiming the Pen, a call for the return of interactive writing to the primary grade classroom. Thank you for joining us today, Bethanie and Marilyn. We're happy to have you here. So I'd like you to each introduce yourselves.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Nicol. I am an assistant professor of literacy education at Southwestern University.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bethanie Pletcher, and I'm a professor of literacy education at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi.
Excellent. Thanks so much. All right, now we're going to get into this article about writing instruction. So can you just give us a quick overview of your article?
We sure can. So in this article, Reclaiming the Pen, we provide a framework for interactive writing. We also provide steps for implementation of interactive writing, and especially what it might look like in an early grades classroom, because while interactive writing can be used across K through 5, it's going to look a little bit different. Whether you're implementing it in, say, a 4th grade classroom versus a kindergarten classroom, or even a pre-K classroom like Maryland has done, which is really neat. We also then discuss interactive writing as a powerful venue, and we like to emphasize that word powerful because it is extremely powerful, and we want teachers everywhere to be engaging in this practice every day. And so it is a powerful venue for teaching early literacy concepts such as writing for an audience, genre, directionality, phonemic awareness, phonics instruction, writing for an audience, and that's just to name a few. And we then close the article with a discussion of how reading and writing are, of course, reciprocal processes, and how teachers can harness the power of interactive writing to bolster the reading process. So we don't want to leave writing out of the picture. So that's just a quick summary of this article. And it is a brief article, and that's why we like it, and that's why we wanted to publish this one, to just get something quick out there that teachers could read and easily implement.
Yeah, well, we definitely want to have articles that we can get into teachers' hands, particularly around writing for sure. So thank you for that. You talked a little bit about why you decided to write this particular article and getting it out there quickly. Is there anything else you want to tell us about the why behind this article?
Sure, we would love to. We really wanted to showcase an instructional approach to early literacy that uses language in context. To teach print concepts, alphabetic principle, phonemic awareness, and phonics by using language and words in context. We've seen a decline of these type of practices in early literacy classrooms, with more of the teaching of discrete skills in isolation, um, rather than in a whole language, integrated language type of approach. Um, we also really value this instructional approach as Bethanie said, a powerful tool for empowering young learners to have agency and ownership over their learning, and to also develop their voice as a writer.
Great. Thank you. You know that TEPL is really a lot of teacher educators. And so we're wondering, what is a takeaway you would want teacher educators to have from this article?
Definitely to implement more writing instruction, pedagogy into their reading courses. So, a lot of the courses I teach are all called or labeled reading courses. However, that's just not enough. And outside of our program, especially our pre-service teachers aren't really getting any pedagogy into the teaching of writing. So it scares them a little bit. And I've seen that a lot in my career of in-service teachers who, are out in the field and they're working with kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade teachers, and they equate writing with grammar instruction, or they equate writing with handwriting instruction. And that's where they kind of stop. And there's so much more than that, right? We want our children to be able to come into the classroom and use their diversity of experiences to share with not only their teachers, but also their peers and others, and be able to tell their stories. And without authentic writing experiences, that's just not going to happen very much. We also want them writing across the content areas. So how can teacher educators integrate interactive writing into content area reading courses, and also even maybe math education courses and science and social studies education courses? So I've really tried to embed more writing instruction into my courses so that students understand that it's not just all about decoding print. It's also, it has to go the other way because they're all intertwined and interrelated. And I feel that a lot of our pre-service teachers have really seen reading and writing as two separate silos, right? And they're never crossing over. So that's my wish, is that this quick article is something teacher educators can look at and say, oh, yeah, I've seen interactive writing, but maybe it's been a long time since I've done it or seen it. And I'd really love to get this in the hands of pre-service teachers and then follow up and go into classrooms like we do, and see what teachers are doing with interactive writing in the classroom.
That's great. Getting that information out there, particularly in the hands of our pre-service teachers, is really important so that they're comfortable with the process before they get into their own classrooms.
That's right. That's right.
So thinking about TEPL members here, we do work with a lot of teachers. You mentioned that a little bit in your last response, Bethany. So what are some things from this article you would like TEPL members to share from this article with the practicing teachers that they work with?
Great. Yes. Other than the things that Bethany was just sharing, also like in regards to how to implement it and the importance of writing instruction, is that the interactive writing lessons can be implemented pretty quickly into your instructional routine in possibly 30 minutes or less. So even if a teacher is working with a scripted curriculum that has a very tight scope and sequence, it's possible to still work this in within whatever wiggle room you might be able to create in your instructional routine. And then the takeaways are so valuable just from that small amount of time devoted to this practice every day. The learning outcomes are like I said, invaluable to students.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on what Marilyn was saying, that a lot of the writing research that's out there talks about teachers will often say things like, I have to squeeze in writing, I have to squeeze in writing instruction, and that makes me so very sad, right? Because that should honestly be one of the most fun parts of their day, because
Yes.
they're getting these ideas out of their head and onto paper and making them public and sharing them with others. And so, I don't want to deprive them, children, of that, and then have the writing time be so rushed or just an add-on, when it really can be, so like Marilyn said, so easily integrated into everything we do. I'm working with a group of first grade teachers right now, and the way the way they want to implement it, they're thinking, okay, we have to put it here, or let me find time to do it here or here. And so the way I'm trying to work with them is, try not to see it that way. See it as a tool. Like, oh, we just came from PE and we played this awesome game and we won. Well, let's write about it. It can be a little more organic. And I know teachers find that difficult because of everything they're having to squeeze in and do. But like Marilyn said, there are still ways to finesse the scripted curriculum a little bit, and get some writing in at any point during the day.
And sorry, my light just went off in my office. It's
Okay.
on a timer. But also to just add one more thing off of what Bethany was saying, is that the interactive writing lesson is based on a shared experience, like what you just did in PE, or a book you just read, or a field trip you went on, or what everybody ate for lunch. So it's kind of this leveling of experience that engages everyone in the conversation, regardless of their background knowledge.
Yeah, I really like that you brought up the ideas of time, because regardless of the project or the topic that you're working with teachers on, time is always one of the things that we need more of, right? So thank you for addressing that. Also thinking about that engagement and motivation, rather than looking at writing, having our students look at writing as something that they just have to get done on a checklist because they got to move on to the next task. Really, how do you engage and enjoy the process and the thinking that goes along with the writing that's happening in that moment? And interactive writing really does level that playing field out nicely, like you said, Marilyn, of that shared experience. So you don't have to necessarily compensate for background knowledge that students may not have access to. That's a really important piece as well.
Yeah.
All right, you talked a little bit about what's already happening, what you're doing, but we'd also like to know, what are you working on now?
We're working on a book.
Yay! All right.
And we're so excited. Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great that Marilyn and I, have the same passions, I
Mhm.
believe. We both, early literacy, is our jam. We,
Yes.
uh, Marilyn having, worked in pre-K for a long time, and me as a, reading specialist in the early grades and reading recovery teacher. And, so we've been writing a lot about writing,
Mhm.
both of us, which is really exciting. And so our book is titled "Writing in the Age of the Science of Reading: Pre-K through 5 Strategies for Literacy Educators." And I believe it's supposed to come out at the end of next year. I want to say end of 2026. And we have some amazing contributors, who are, contributing on topics like, leveraging the reading and writing connection, competing models of writing instruction, of course, interactive writing, how children share stories in the writing workshop, um, using writing to strengthen phonics skills, of course, and, writing assessment and digital and multimodal experiences. So we're covering a lot of bases here with, okay, how do we wrap our heads around writing instruction, with everything else that's going on and all the shifts, right, that have been made to education. So so I'll let Marilyn share a little bit more, maybe about our intended audience and kind of what our purpose was for writing this.
Great.
Yes, of course. So our intended audience is pre-K through 5 classroom teachers, specialized literacy professionals. This could include reading interventionists, reading coaches, instructional coaches, school administrators, and of course, teacher educators, literacy teacher educators. Um, we think it would be also just a suitable professional reference for these groups, as they are searching for ways to implement writing in the context that we're working within today in our public schools.
Well, great. We're super excited to hear about that book a little bit more as you hammer out the details. So thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for coming today to talk with us about your article on interactive writing.
Thank you
Yeah,
for having us.
Of
Yes.
course.
yes, our pleasure. Thank you so much. We love this division of ALER. I think both of us go every year. I know I've been numerous years. It's one of my favorites because you get to hear from so many different literacy educators, and it's really exciting. And one of our contributors to our book, we met last year at a roundtable in the division.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
I know.
Well,
See, so that's
wonderful.
why
Yeah.
you network and you find similar passions. So yeah, we encourage as many people as possible to, and I know it's always a full room. So just yeah, so many opportunities for talking to people who do what we do.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.